Hey, this is Dan Thisdell from Flight Global. I'm here with Scott Thompson and Neil Hampson, who are the U.S. and global heads of aerospace and defense at PWC. We've got a chance, I think, to talk about a rather interesting issue which is animating a lot of minds here at the show, and that's simply that can the supply chain keep up with Boeing and Airbus as they look to ramp up narrow-body production rates even beyond 40 aircraft per month over the next couple of years to draw down their enormous backlogs. Scott, maybe if we start with you, in the U.S., do you see any particular issues with Boeing's Boeing's supply chain looking at the 737 ramp up?
Well, I think the answer to your question is we simply don't know yet. It's too early to tell. There are risks. The issue is that in 2011, the industry delivered over 1,000 large aircraft for the first time. And as you pointed out, we have production increases beyond that. So we're in unprecedented territory. And these production levels are going to stress the supply chain. And sometimes when you stress things, they might break. So I think there are risks out there that have to be managed very carefully. At the same time, it's a different supply chain than existed 10 years ago. It's much more decentralized. It's much more global, which adds to the risk.
Neil, I know you've looked at this issue from a global perspective, and I think there are some questions hanging over the finance side of this, because obviously suppliers need a lot of capital investment in order to increase their production capacity. What do you see coming on that front?
I think, as to echo what Scott said, there's a number of suppliers out there, we don't quite know who they are, who are in a capital investment cycle. They're either beginning it or they're part of the way through it. Finance is much more difficult to get. It's much more costly than probably when they did their initial calculations. So what we're seeing now is some suppliers trying to rein back the extent to which they can grow. That's going to have a knock-on effect down the supply chain and ultimately may have an effect on the end assemblers of Boeing and Airbus.